Hi, everyone. Welcome back. This is my first interview in English. If you didn't subscribe yet, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel. You will see we'll have way much more English video. We have a couple in French already. Today, I have such a charismatic and a guest that I was really hard person that I want to introduce to you. I met her through her brand new project, and I want to introduce Cindy Craig to all of you. So welcome, Cindy, today.
Thank you very much.
I would like you, Cindy, to talk a little bit about your path, your nurse background, and also what about this idea of creating your project?
I've been a nurse for over 30 years, and my clinical background was in emergent ICU for many years. But I went through, some life events, a divorce, and ended up moving to Southern Ontario, and decided at that time I was going to change my nursing path as well. I ended up being sort of sought out from a fantastic person to work in long-term care in management. And when I got there, it was absolutely incredible to me being part of helping people with cognitive decline. But it wasn't just that. There's so many younger people in long-term care that have acquired brain injuries and different metabolic disorders as well that affect the brain. So it affects mental health, it affects cognition, it affects their ability to function with some sort of motor functions. There's so many different things that were affected that I became extremely interested as well. I have a little brain tumor myself that has some minor effects, in no way comparable. And my ex-husband was epileptic. So knowing a little bit about how the brain works was always something that I felt a lot of interest in. I think I met a young man when I was in long-term care who was just in his 40s, who was physically disabled, but also had some cognitive function issues. And my goal was to make him as independent as possible, both physically and cognitively, so that he was making his own decisions and we weren't making them for a 40-something-year-old young man that was in long-term care for the rest of his life. Wanted him to have the ability. So how to go about that? I needed to learn more about the brain. So I did a lot of courses while I was in long-term care, starting with something so simple as the Montessori method for teaching, and realizing that even a brain in decline can learn new things through repetition, through the feeling of empathy allows people to open their mind and to learn things. So it's always been there. And then when I came back to Northern Ontario, my daughter had a baby, and I wanted to be a grandma that was present. My ability to give something to her that no one else could was farm animals. So we set up a little farm on a piece of property that it's in the middle of nowhere sort of thing, but it gave me the opportunity to start watching her with other animals and then share that experience with other children. And I ended up sick at the beginning of COVID and decided, you know what, I'm going to stay home and make this passion into something that I could share with the rest of the world in our area, sort of thing. Whoever needs it, we're here for it. Not just in a visiting farm capacity, but in a health and wellness capacity.
That's amazing, because like your profession is to take care of people and be aware of what are their needs, and you're still in this continuity to allow people from everywhere, northern Quebec, northern Ontario, to go at the funny farm. Actually, it's the Rosborough Funny Farm, correct?
Correct. Rosborough's
Yeah,
Funny Farm. Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
And I would like you to talk a little bit about what's going on at the Funny Farm.
Well, we have sort of a few different projects. We have a visiting farm. So families come, and it's really important to me that people actually get up close and personal with the animals. And I know that that's sort of not the trend because, there's such a liability of connecting animals and humans. But to me, it promotes empathy, and it teaches children that all beings have feelings, and all beings deserve to be treated with respect. And when you actually get to follow an animal, or to just observe them, you get to see that they're so unique and so different, and they all offer to humans, they offer themselves so fully. um we've There's so many things that have happened here that have been amazing. We've had a widows group that comes, and they sit in the field and just talk to each other. They meet sometimes with the horses, sometimes with the donkeys. It doesn't matter, but they're able to work through those feelings of loneliness, and they get together, and the animals do something funny, and it gives them an opportunity to just forget what's gone on in their life. I have now two people that have had end stage cancer that come to the farm, basically just as like a retreat and a way to connect to nature, and to um, their description is, oh, it's just so beautiful. Their description, they come, they sit here, they think with themselves and with an animal about what might lie beyond and what might not lie beyond. And they're sort of preparing themselves for the inevitable, but they're doing it in a way that gives them joy, instead of they can be tearful if they want, but for the most part they're smiling, and they're petting an animal, and they're receiving a lot of love back, and they're able to just process their feelings. There's so many other stories, but those are the two that come to mind right now, or different things that are happening here. um we are trying very hard to open our farm to a different therapists, like for children with PTSD, through Children's Aid here, they call it, or Child and Family Services. They can bring children that really are struggling trusting humans, and maybe learn how to build. That hasn't progressed in the way that we've wanted to yet, and partly it's because we've been held back with COVID, but we've had conversation with social workers that work with children. So that's something that I foresee in the future happening. We've had a lot of connection with animals and children with autism. Amazing connections. We have horses here that do something called the Fleming response, and they're very, very in tuned to the energy and to the children with autism. So much so that one small child, whose mother was asked by their provider in Southern Ontario to consider animal therapy, and she said she declined it because they have a dog, and their child doesn't associate with the dog. He he's nonverbal, and relies heavily on a piece of purple tinfoil that he carries, and really gets a lot of support from. And he was out with the horses, and they all came running and smelling him. He actually dropped the piece of foil and put his hands up and held the face of a horse. And the mom was, of course, well, everyone in the field at the time was tearful and grateful that that moment happened. And she was heading back to Southern Ontario to make make it happen for him. He was going to enroll in some animal therapy down there. So we want the same for ourselves in the north. That is the opportunity that's in the south.
It's so beautiful stories, and I can tell from my own testimony as well, being around you, your own energy, because as the owner, you know, like you give the tone, right? And also with the animals you chose. For example, with the horses, one thing I really appreciated is that I didn't have to care about them kicking me, because they're already trained by you not to, right? So
Hmm.
you can walk even behind the
Hmm.
horses, and they're not the big, huge horses, they're
They're little.
tiny, tiny ones.
Yeah. So they're ponies and mini ponies. So they're tiny. Some of them are very, very tiny. Um they're I think it's less intimidating, and they all have such wonderful personalities that it was easy. I'm not so certain that I've trained them, but they just are innately beautiful souls. Yeah.
Wow, it's beautiful. And we can have like a little view in the background. And could you tell us a little bit about why you chose the funny farm?
Um, I think as we started to accumulate animals, I decided that they had to get along with each other. I wanted to see whether or not animals could form friendships that were outside of their specific. Um, a donkey can get along with an emu, and they can actually have fun relationships, or pigs and a donkey, or a turkey and a goose. And we have relationships that have developed. There's fights that happen, there's arguments, and there's stealing. So the funny things that happen, just a little while ago, Betty, the little pig, was running with, she stole the hay that the donkey was eating and was running away with it. And one of the donkeys was chasing her. I missed it all on camera, of course, but it was an opportunity that made me laugh again. And so it's the funny farm. Just funny things happen, and it lifts your spirits to be here.
That's one
That's the
thing.
reason for it.
Absolutely. It's so like, I think like the name is quite perfect, because absolutely I had like laughing moments over there.
Yeah.
And I like that you know, talk about empathy as well. We can really, you know, get that from what you put in place and how you work, like at the farm with the animals, with us, like people visiting. And I would like now, for the last part of our interview, to talk a little bit about you, because I just think it's so nice to get to know a little bit more the people who, you know, run a project like that with such a beautiful vision. So I would like you to, you know, talk a little bit about what is the greatest happiness for Cindy Craig.
I've always really, really been a happy nurse. I've been someone who has truly um, been happy with my choice to become a nurse, and it has fulfilled me. I think obviously the greatest inspiration for me to continue doing nursing after, as my nursing years are dwindling, and really I wouldn't be a good ER ICU nurse anymore. That wouldn't be, because I haven't been in that scope for a long time. But having a grandchild has she's opened the world of children around me again, and it's given me the opportunity to want to do something better for the children in Northern Ontario. And that truly does bring just happiness. During the COVID lockdown in the winter, when everybody was so tightly locked down, my best joy was when moms would text me or send a message to me and say, I really can't afford anything, but we've been in the house, the kids are going crazy, so we set up a snow hill for them to come out. They visit the animals for nothing, like it wasn't a money making project. It was, bring your kids out and let's make them happy, let's get them so they can laugh and scream and have fun, and that brings me joy.
This is beautiful.
Yeah.
Is there any moment, like 90-degree moment in your life that changed everything for you because you made a decision out of maybe some habits, behaviors, patterns that you had, and it changed it for the best?
There's there's many. I can say that not all of my decisions have been the wrong ones, but I've learned from the wrong ones because I think and I've discussed this with someone that we both know very well, that you if you make all the right decisions all the time, then you really can't grow because you're not able to make big adjustments. And I think the most recent major thing that happened in my life was COVID. I'm 99% sure that I was a victim of COVID back in March of 2020. I got very sick for 28 days, and the population of people that I was caring for in my nursing career, my professional career, were very vulnerable. They were a lot of people with diabetes, a lot of people with chronic illness and disease. And I had to make the choice because we didn't know anything about COVID. And if I was, even though I tested negative, they gave me a caveat of, there's 17% of these tests right now are showing to be falsely negative or falsely positive. So I didn't have the assurance that I wasn't really sick. So there's no way I wanted to go back to work in the time frame that my job said to, and possibly put my clientele, who I cared for extremely, I had a relationship with them on a level that I felt very close to them, and I couldn't possibly go back to work with them on that level, to possibly make someone not well.
Personality of caring about other people in general, even people that you don't know yet, right? Creating this environment, allowing people to come and enjoying this, I would say, like, calm, peaceful, respectful environment in between humans over there, but also between animals, even if they might fight sometimes. And it's very funny to see you fighting with a pig, actually.
It is so much fun.
Oh, it is. Like, is there's like, let's say, one discovery you did in maybe the last weeks, months, what would it be? The discovery that, like, you really stuck and you said, oh wow, that I couldn't imagine that.
Well, you're actually involved in that discovery because the vision that I have for the farm, and it comes with needing to build credibility and needing to know the right people that have the same vision with whatever they're doing. And there was a day that you landed on the farm, and listening to your story and realizing that our paths were somehow following the same direction. We both had the same goals in helping people. You were working towards your PhD, and what we could offer here on the farm was something like, I felt like I needed to say, here, we have we have stuff you could do here. This is so amazing. Your connection to the farm, even though you'd never been here before, just seemed unreal. It just seemed like you understood what the farm stood for, and the farm could offer you something, and you could offer the farm something, and it came with a level of credibility that you were you hold in your hands and the level of opportunity that I hold in mine. And I just think the universe sent you.
Wow, I didn't expect that. And I'm so like, it really touched my heart because when you started to relate this event, actually, it just blew my mind again, as if, we were at that specific moment again. And actually, for me too, it was, like just, wow, she does care about, these animals, these body behaviors, and she works with observing their behaviors, and that is, I'm so curious about that. And it just,
Mhm.
I remember when I came back that day home, I was like going back in my research and reading these articles, and like I had like just a feeling of being so grateful
Yeah.
to what can cross our path. And I started
Mhm.
just to talk to people. You need to visit the funny farm, it's so funny to get there, and the sheep is like on the chair, and the other one is doing this, and the other one is doing that, right?
Yeah. And
And
it really, the one thing that I noticed, when you were talking about like observing people's bodies and having people become aware of what their body was saying to them, it's it's so true with animals. When you watch their body language and you watch how they're just true, they're raw and they're true, and they, but the things that you said, looking at a human being, resonated with me. And looking at the animal, like you observe them, you observe humans for the signs that their body's telling them, and I observe the animals for the signs that their body's telling them. And you can really tell so much. And I don't know, it just resonated with me, your connection to the human body and my connection to the body of the animals. It just, it's very much like symbiotic, and we're all just beings.
oh,
And you
they're
know
so
it,
good teachers, absolutely. Like their behaviors can teach us so much, right?
absolutely.
They think outside of the box automatically.
You're Betty stealing the hay from the horse. So much fun here.
Oh yeah. And one last thing that I would like you to, like let's say I'm giving you a magic wand. I think I pronounce it well, maybe not.
Yep, yep, magic wand, yep.
Magic wand. Let's say my pencil is a magic wand. Which one would you wish for?
I honestly, I wish that the funny farm becomes something beyond me. I don't want it to end when my career ends. I want it to be something that Northern Ontario, Northern Quebec, we we have an opportunity to develop something that is unique. It's honestly what my wish would be. I want this to be a healing center or a growing center, I guess, healing for those that need healed, but for those with cognitive abilities that just need to be released. And sometimes you can't do it by talking to a human. You need to, you can practice on, like we've said many times, you can practice making mistakes on an animal, like reading and making mistakes, or there's so many opportunities around the farm for people to grow with their intellectual and cognitive abilities and their functional abilities. um, i I hope, my wish would be that this place gets to be all that it can be.
This is an amazing wish. And I will encourage everybody who, connect with this interview to go visit the Rosborough Funny Farm. It is an hour and a half from Rouyn-Noranda, and it is so accessible. The road is a journey by itself, right? And I think even people, like with looking for an activity, looking for, low their stress, their anxiety. I think it can be so good to, go visit this unique environment. And I want to say thank you, Cindy, for allowing us this beautiful moment with you at the Funny Farm.
Oh, you're so welcome. And thank you for dropping into my life. It's been just a pleasure meeting you.
Oh, same thing. Thank you so much. So please, people, go visit. We'll put a little description down the video. You will be able to find the Facebook page as well. Connect right away with Cindy Craig over the Funny Farm. And again, thank you so much for this amazing moment. And it's so good to see these guys in the background.
There they are. Thanks. Thank you,
Cindy.
Steph.
Now that the lights are low, now that the time is so hard,